Alright, here we are for round number 2. We're playing against the bad Kami and we get to be on the play. This hand is great, I'll keep it. It's a bit of an exaggeration to say this hand is great since I can't actually counterspell anything until turn 3, but that's okay. Evolving Wild's going to fetch out an island here. I don't necessarily have to fetch right away, but I will. Like, I could wait until my turn to fetch. Actually, I should have probably done that. I should have probably drawn my card, but that's alright. So we're playing against blue-black again. Like I said before, I think this is a pretty good matchup. I don't have a great hand for it, but having Crypt Incursion is really nice against them. Alright, they've got their Aqueduct. That means my capsize plan will be pretty good eventually. Let's play that. Obviously I'm not cycling this, I'm just going to play it out. Alright, my opponent's got nothing. Swamp, I think I'll play that. That means I can Teachings. If my opponent plays a rat, I will put a removal spell on top and Teachings it away rather than countering it. If they play a Seagate Oracle, I think I'll counter it. Well, no, it just doesn't matter that much. It'd only matter if I was really trying to get my opponent on, if I was trying to mana screw my opponent. And I don't really know if they're mana screwed or not. Seagate Oracle's not really a clock. Let's go ahead and Teachings. I'm gonna grab a Think Twice to start. Alright, drew a Think Twice. I'm just gonna pass here. I can't edict this away and hold up counterspell, so just gonna do that. Don't want to let my opponent resolve a Muldrifter. Even though the Muldrifter doesn't matter that much, I'd prefer they not resolve one, so we'll just do this. I think I will counter a rat at this point since I'm missing a land drop. The other option would be to just think twice if they played a rat, and hopefully find a land in my top 2. Alright, taking 1, not a problem. If I have to counter something, I'll probably Devour Flesh away the Seagate Oracle. Yeah, let's just go ahead and counter that. I don't want my opponent to get too ahead of me on cards and stuff. Let's go ahead and Devour Flesh his other guy. My opponent actually passed there, so I don't know if they're missing a land drop. Okay, they were just risky about it. Let's go ahead and play one Think Twice. Drew an island. Great draw. That's a great draw because now I can hold up this Prohibit. Unfortunately, I can't counter a Muldrifter with this Prohibit, but it is what it is. I'll just flashback my Think Twice if they play a Muldrifter. The other option would be to Agony Warp it and just cast my Think Twice the first time. I think they're more likely to play something like this, and I'll go ahead and prohibit that. If they want to counterspell it, that's fine. Their counterspells are more precious than ours. They only have 4 counterspells in the whole deck, and it's their only card that really matters in the matchup. So using it to save a Chittering Rats is not really where they want to be most of the time. Alright, let's go ahead and Brainstorm. So I drew pieces of the puzzle, which means I can kind of shuffle away some of this stuff. I'm going to put the Think Twice on top and the Chainer's Edict. I'm going to play my pieces of the puzzle. I will dispel a counterspell on these pieces of the puzzle. Alright, I'll grab the Evankar's Justice, and I think I'll just grab the Think Twice. These are unfortunately 2 cards I would have really loved to draw. So, we'll just do this. Not in a great spot since I haven't really drawn lands, but my opponent's also missed some land drops, so we might be okay. Hopefully it's just a Seagate Oracle. Nope, they're going all in on the Muldrifter. Sure. It's fine. If they miss a land, they have to discard here. So, yeah. So it's not that big of a deal. I'm going to think twice. Hitting a land is much more important than killing this thing. Alright, we hit a land. I think I'll just probably kill this right now. I could wait to Avant-Garde Justice, but no, if I don't cast anything, I can flashback my mystical teachings, and that'd be pretty good. So I'll just do that. It's also possible my opponent will just run out another Muldrifter, and then I'll be able to like 2-for-1 them. Not 2-for-1 them, but like I'll be able to kill both of them with this Avant-Garde Justice. Alright. Yep, I take the damage. What's my opponent got here? Another Muldrifter. Yeah, I'm not going to do anything about that. I'll just Avant-Garde Justice on my turn and kill them both. Be really happy if they miss land again. It's pretty unrealistic to expect them to miss that many lands, though. Alright. Let's go ahead and flashback teachings, I think. No, it's probably better to just think twice. I wanted to grab a counterspell, but I'd also really like to get a land. Alright, well, I guess that's what I was going to get anyway, so it's fine. And we drew a land. Awesome. My colors are pretty good right now, and the extra mana might matter this turn, so let's count it up. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This will be 8. So I don't think it's going to matter. But also, yeah, let's just go ahead and cycle this and get an island. Play my island, and then I will just Avant-Garde Justice both of these away. I don't need to keep the Avant-Garde Justice in my hand. I've got so much removal here, and just don't need it. Could Crypt Incursion these guys, but I'd really like to use it as a Reaping the Graves counterspell. I don't even know what I would counter. Like, my opponent has so few spells that matter in game 1. I might counter. Well, I don't want to counter a rat, so the only things that really matter are if they can somehow manage to like loop me, and I don't. That's not like a realistic thing to happen. All right, great draw, another land. If I draw only land for the rest of the game, I will probably win this game. Would be my guess, unless this teachings gets countered. Otherwise, I would probably just win, even if I drew only lands. Chittering Rat is kind of annoying, but it's not that important, so let's go ahead and just put that in there. Then I'll just disfigure this guy. It's a little annoying that I'm going to miss my land drop. If my opponent tries to save it, I'll just kill it. I do kind of want to shuffle that away. The only problem with it is now I don't have to tap out for teachings. Cool. So if my opponent tries to counter this, I'll dispel it. And if they have another counterspell, they have another counterspell, but if they only use 2 counterspells here, that's cool. Okay, they don't have 2. They should definitely have countered that if they had 2, because now I'm just grabbing another teachings. And I think we're going to bury them this game. They just have so many dead cards, and my removal's not dead. It's not good, but it's not dead. Their removal's completely dead. So it looks like they have 7 cards in hand, but they probably have 3 that matter. Maybe less, maybe just 2. So Archaeomancer is a good one to counter, so I will. And if I get really lucky, they're going to use this opportunity to cast Reaping the Graves, and I'll Crypt Incursion them into last week, and that'll be game over. What in the world are they doing here? That's interesting that they did this before the Archaeomancer was in the graveyard. Maybe they're on to me. Well, whatever it is, they're getting Crypt Incursioned. They do get to keep the Archaeomancer in the graveyard this way, but I would have thought they would want to get back the Archaeomancer with Reaping the Graves. They only targeted the Muldrifters? Or are they still doing the targeting? It doesn't matter, I'm still going to Crypt Incursion them no matter really what happens, so... They know I have this teaching, so they do know that this Reaping the Graves isn't going to work, or probably isn't going to work anyway. So I guess it makes sense. If they have 2 Reaping the Graves in their deck, they could really get me. That seems unlikely, but they might have it. I'm not sure. So I think I'm going to go on the capsize plan again. No, I think I'd rather just get another Teachings and then have up Exclude. Alright. Since I'm running low on counterspells, I don't think I can quite go on the capsize plan yet. It'd be nice, but you can't always do everything that you want. So you get Oracle. I'll try to exclude it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's possible I should have used my flashback one. Yeah, okay. My opponent gives up. They must not have a Bajuka Bug. So that was a little risky by me casting that Teachings there. Because if I get the exclude and then they counter it and then they play a Bajuka Bug and exile my graveyard, I'm actually in a pretty bad spot. So I should have probably flashed this back and done it. But our opponent didn't have it, so that's all good. I'm going to use the same sideboard plan I did last time. So 2 Dispel, 2 Duress, 2 Relics. So I got 6 cards to bring in. I take out the Repeal. And I take out some of this removal. I think I took out 2 Disfigures and an Echoing Decay and the 2 Doomblades. Yep. And unfortunately I can't take out any more removal. That's oh, I took out the Complete Disregard, I think. You know, Complete Disregard might just be better. Exiles any creature they have. I'm going to leave it in instead of one of these Disfigures or Echoing Decays or whatever I left in last time. I think it's kind of nice to have access to that. So this matchup is like really hard to lose main deck, but post board they get a lot more stuff. Like they have quite a few Dispels. Normally they have Duress and Relic, just like we do, but they're more likely to draw theirs. Sand might look pretty bad, but it's actually amazing, so I'm gonna keep it. Remember, this matchup's all about drawing all your lands, and I've got a lot of lands. All I want is lands and card advantage spells. So I'm going to go ahead and play this island so I can get some of these Think Twices out of my hand. See if they're willing to cast something into this. They are, but only a Divination. My opponent mulliganed and they were on the play, so they are a little behind us on cards to start off. Alright, my opponent's taking a little bit to stack these triggers. I'm going to go ahead and think twice so I can F6. We are a little bit ahead on time, and I don't think this match is going to go to time, but you never know with this deck. You can play some pretty crazy long games. Despite what you might think, when you play against these control decks, the matches are actually much faster than when you play against an aggro deck, because when you play against an aggro deck, if you're winning, you often have to mill them their entire library, and you just don't have to do that. They'll mill themselves quite a bit in this matchup is what I mean to say. Let's go ahead and play the Submerged Boneyard. If they play, I should have maybe played the Evolving Wilds in case they played a Relic. That was probably a little bit of a mistake by me. I didn't want to play the Radiant Fountain because I don't intend to flash this back this turn, but it would have been nice to have the Evolving Wilds to throw in there if they play a Relic. So that was a slight misstep. I was thinking, you know, maybe I want to get some value out of like a Brainstorm, but that was probably just a little too risky. Okay, they have nothing again. Let's go ahead and do that. Alright, I'm going to make the Evolving Wilds play this turn. Fortunately, I don't have any counterspells, but my opponent doesn't know that. Don't really want to tap out for pieces here. I assume my opponent has another Muldrifter at the very least. Okay, that guy's fine. It is a 2-for-1, but it's a 2-for-1 of like my bad cards. So Innocent Bloods are my bad cards. I'll fetch before I think twice. I've got a lot of land drops lined up. Let's go ahead and grab another swamp. I've got a couple of blue sources in my hand. So I think I'm just gonna like double Innocent Blood this guy, and then I can hold up. Think Twice Flashback. Something to be said for casting Evankar's Justice, but I'd be a little surprised if my opponent wasted one of their counterspells to protect this. Wow, that's shocking. I do not think this is the correct play, but might work out for our opponent if I don't find anything. But I got so many removal spells for this thing. That's crazy. This is like the best card in their whole deck, and they're using it to protect a 3/3. We do have a long time to find an answer to this. We've got 8 turns at this point, with the Radiant Fountain protecting us for 1 more turn. Alright. If they have like a bunch of counter spells, I guess that makes sense to counter that. But I don't need another Evankar's Justice. Again, we lost a Pristine Talisman, which is a card I would have liked to have had, of course. I'm going to have to discard a land here. A little unfortunate. Let's go ahead and discard the Swamp, I think. Alright. We got hit for 3 again. They know I have this counterspell. So the thing is, if they were able to like play a good creature and hold up counterspell, I'm going to cycle this. I have a lot of lands going on. Let's just get that out of my hand right now. Disfigure, huh? Alright, let's go ahead and play this Radiant Fountain. I don't want to cast Justice and Disfigure and then have them like 2-for-1 me with a counterspell. But I might just grab a counterspell with my teachings here. Alright. Let's go teachings. They're going to counter this one. Okay. That resolves. Now I get to resolve a good card. Plunk. Alright, cool. So I'll flashback teachings on their end step. So you can see why this Stormbound Geist just doesn't matter that much. Now it's an even slower clock. Now it's 8 turns away. My opponent spent 2 counterspells already. And are they going to counter the flashback too? Because if you don't counter the flashback too, you're not doing a lot. Like, is he just trying to tempo me out? Alright. Fought through all those counterspells. Let's go ahead and cast pieces of the puzzle. Okay, I'll grab the Agony Warp and the Prohibit. And then I'll just Agony Warp this guy on their upkeep. Maybe I'll do it on their end of turn. I don't care if I take 3 more. See what they've got. A rat. Rat is fine, but I'm going to try to Agony Warp this right now. I could like kind of get got by Ghostly Flicker if I let the rat resolve first and then get the whole dealio. So, alright, goodbye Evankar's Justice. You're on top of my deck now. And I could disfigure this guy end of turn. I don't want to have to counterspell a Ghostly Flicker, so... The issue here is I only have 1 counterspell up now. The reason it's not really an issue is that I don't care if this gets countered. I'll just let it happen. So he's gonna... Oh, Reaping the Graves, huh? Interesting. Alright, well, that's fine with me, I guess. I'll counter the Muldrifter and then that'll be that. I'll let the Stormbound Geist resolve, that's not a big deal to me at all. I'll kill that eventually. My opponent has another counterspell. They've used 3, but if they have another Dispel, then maybe they can get me. And then maybe it was a good idea to use these to counter all my card advantage stuff. Normally I try to save them for the spells that matter, though. Like, countering this counterspell, it would be really strong for my opponent. And if they've used all their counterspells up, now they can't. Yeah. Crazy. Alright. So you've got here, now I get to resolve a teachings. Oh man, opponent. Actually, I'm gonna get that complete disregard. Let's go ahead and do that. My opponent was so excited about keeping this guy, maybe I should just do that. My other option is to disfigure and crypt incursion. That might be a little better. Nah. It's too much value for me to pass up, you know, that little 2-for-1. Or the 1-for-1. Not even a 2-for-1, of course, but just nice little 1-for-1. So if they can't exile my teachings, they're going to be in trouble here. If they have a Bojuka Bug, they can stay in the game. What's this going to be? So unfortunately, this Prohibit, again, like kind of biting me for not being a counterspell. If this were a counterspell, it would be in much better shape. But I had to use a counterspell on the Muldrifter, and I don't have enough mana for this. Alright, just a Dismal Backwater is not a problem. So the Seagate Oracle can't even erase this this Pristine Talisman, so I'm going to go ahead and grab an island. And I'll just pass the turn here. See what my opponent wants to do. Alright, Seagate getting in. At some point I'll probably like have Encourage Justice and then disfigure this guy, but not right now. It's possible I should just prohibit this Preordain. It's possible I should Teachings in response to the Preordain. But I want to hold up Prohibit for my opponent went top for an Archaeomancer. Muldrifter actually doesn't really matter. I don't have a problem with the Muldrifter resolving. I don't have a problem with it, but I also kind of want to do this right now. I'm actually just going to get another Teachings. And then I'll let that resolve. I want to do that there because it required them to have a counterspell plus a... actually going to prohibit that. They would need a counterspell plus a Dispel. See what they've got. This can be their 4th counterspell. Is that going to be all of them? Alright. So I drew another Prohibit. Let's just go ahead and cast this. Get some buyback going. Let's just disfigure that guy. I get to hold up Prohibit, but I don't get to hold up anything else. I should have maybe just cast this without buyback. Just because I'd rather hold this stuff up. Like I could have had 3 more mana, I would have had 6. I would have had enough for Teachings plus Prohibit. And I don't really need 2 of these in my hand, so that was probably a mistake to do that. My opponent's getting a fair amount lower on time than we are. It was smart of them to concede that first game when they did. Another Stormbound Geist, kind of annoying. I can't do anything about it. Might just have to Teachings for Crypt Incursion at some point. I'm going to grab another Swamp at this point. I have a lot of islands. I'll just pass the turn. I still have plenty of time here. These guys are a slow clock. They're still 6 turns away from killing me with 1 life per turn from the Talisman. Alright. See what my opponent has here. If it's a duress, I think I'll probably prohibit it. It kind of looks like a gourmet gangler, but they aren't paying costs, so I actually don't know what they're doing right now. Alright, this is going to be... What's 6 mana? They have their own Avant-Garde Justice? They just want to deal me some damage? Oh, they just tapping funny? Let's go ahead and Teachings for an Exclude. Yeah, let's get Exclude. I don't really want to have to cast this Avant-Garde Justice next turn if I don't have to. So, I assume they have at least one counterspell here, but hopefully they only have one, and my Prohibit works. Cycling Unearth, okay. Yep. So you can see why I didn't really like my opponent doing all those times that they countered my Mystical Teachings and stuff. Like, they could have used the counters to, like, resolve a Muldrifter or counter my Avant-Garde Justice. These are actually annoying because they don't die to Avant-Garde Justice, so I'm going to go ahead and flash back my Teachings and get another Exclude for the Seagate Oracle. Alright. Gonna take some damage. Hopefully they don't have Reaping the... Oh, they only have this... Hopefully they don't have 2 Reaping the Graves, and they don't have 1 in hand right now. So I think with this one I'm going to get the Crypt Incursion. And I'm going to go ahead and... yeah, let's just cast this. Alright, then I'll Crypt Incursion. They need 2 counterspells here. I kind of think they have none. Yeah. I'm not going to cast this Innocent Blood here. I'd rather hold up my Teachings Flashback if I need it. Yep, so we win the match. I think our opponent kind of wasted their counterspells here. Like, resolving this Relic would have been a big deal if they could have forced that through with a counterspell. Spending 2 counterspells to counter 2 halves of Teachings when you don't have a fast clock is not usually how you want to beat Teachings, but I mean, it can sometimes work. Like, if I had just drawn a bunch of blanks, it would have worked, but like I drew some more Teachings, like I drew reasonable cards, and that was that. So we're off to a 2-0 start. Let's keep it up.